The Honourable Member for Long Island.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, whenever I stand in these honorable chambers, I do so on behalf of the good and wonderful people of Long Island, and today is no exception. Before I get into the subject at hand, which is the National Honors Bill, and moving forward, I would like to take this opportunity just to say that having just returned from Long Island yesterday evening, I think it only fitting that I bring condolences to the family of Mr. Maxwell Exodus Adderley of Burnt Ground, Long Island, who was laid to rest on Saturday. I had the privilege of not only attending his service, but bringing greetings and condolences to his family. He was a renowned person throughout the community of North Long Island, and he will be dearly missed as he was dearly loved. And I would publicly like to extend my sympathies to his family. I also want to say, on a brighter note, that very afternoon I had the occasion to join a young couple who were united in marriage, Mr. Charles Blake Carroll and his newlywed wife, Mrs. Amanda Trico Carroll, who were wed at the historic Holy Cross Anglican Church in Hamilton's Long Island, followed by a wonderful reception at Lloyd's of Long Island. I'd like to say, Mr. Speaker, that both of these occasions allowed me to see where we are as an island post-Hurricane Joaquin, and to see that despite all of the challenges that still remain, people are trying to have a semblance of normalcy with their lives. As a matter of fact, on December the 5th, to bring a bit of cheer and making spirits bright, the island participated in a Christmas in the Park concert, which was wonderfully attended. And I must admit that in the spirit of trying to brighten spirits, I used a portion of my constituency fund to help to fund that wonderful event. I thought it was something that would be very necessary, considering all of the trauma that our people have suffered and gone through post-Hurricane Joaquin. And I just want to commend the group of private citizens, which is headed by Lindsay Noel Trico, who next Thursday, December 20, Christmas Eve, will be hosting in the deep south of Long Island, which was probably one of the most devastated parts of our island. She'll be hosting something called Christmas Plates for the Deep South, where they will be feeding persons in the southern area of Long Island. And once again, we're going to make a contribution to that, because we know that this has not been an easy time for people who have been displaced. That's going to be held at what was formerly known as the Dance down in Morrisville. That's the settlement that my grandmother hails from, Morrisville, Long Island. And so that is something that is going to happen. Mr. Speaker, before I speak to the bill at hand, I just would like to say a few things with regards to us leading up to this particular bill. I realize that this is something that has been in the making for quite some time, and I appreciate that we have come to this point. However, on two occasions now, Mr. Speaker, I've prepared to come here to debate the petroleum bill, and on two occasions it has been delayed. I don't know. I believe that there are important things to be discussed, and I'm not suggesting that the honors bill is not important. I just believe that there are some things that seem to be pushed ahead of others, this being one of them. I was here last Wednesday when we went through and we signed the final select committee bill and determined that we would be going forward. I just didn't hear then at the time that we were coming back today to debate it. And so fortunately for me, having seen the minister, the member for Fox Hill, while I'm rushing through the airport on Saturday morning to get to Long Island, he asked me if I'd be speaking on this. And I got home yesterday evening and had to plan to speak on this particular matter. I say all of that, Mr. Speaker, because one of the things that I think is important, that when we come to this place, that we're fully prepared, that we understand what it is we're going to be talking about. And before I signed the report last week, which I agreed with wholeheartedly, I think it was very well balanced. I shared it with the leader, and I'd like to thank him for appointing both me and Montague to that select committee to be a part of it. Most of the meetings, I was out of the country, and the other two meetings, unfortunately, I was not present, but I did follow on all of the follow-up, and if there was any input I had, I would have given it. But the long and short of it, Mr. Speaker, as I stand here today, I do not believe that this side would have had the opportunity to effectively caucus on this, and so what I say may or may not be the feeling of this full side, but I am going to speak to it nonetheless. I just would like to say that as we move forward, legislation is an important thing, and I believe that we should all be fully prepared and apprised and have an opportunity to truly caucus on these things. So having said that, Mr. Speaker, I actually have no reservations with the proposed bill as it is, even the amended bill, which we just received this morning, and which the mover of the bill rightly said on 2 occasions this morning he needed to get consensus from both sides to proceed. So these are the sort of things that we're faced with when we tend to rush. And I just caution the government side that as we move forward, that we be a bit more cognizant of the fact that there are many things that need to be discussed as a group, and sometimes we don't have that opportunity when these things are rushed. So, Mr. Speaker, it is my privilege to be able to stand here on behalf of the wonderful people of Long Island. And as I told you, they are working diligently still to recover from the devastation caused by Hurricane Joaquin. And they're still in great need. Significant investments need to be made in our island in order to recover from this historic storm. I would ask that the government please consider very carefully as we move into the new year, extending all exigency orders, because people still have not at this point been able to get funding together to replace much of what they've lost in this devastating hurricane. So I ask on behalf of my people, and of course the other residents of the southern Bahamian Islands, who would probably be in the very same position. Today is one, though, of shared celebration as we debate the report of the Select Committee of the House of Assembly that was brought together to review the regulations under the National Honors Bill. Mr. Speaker, a system of national honors has been long in the making, and it represents a milestone in our national development. It represents also an opportunity to deepen our national identity as we institute an indigenous system to recognize those who have contributed or who will contribute in significant ways to the building of our Commonwealth. While we continue to appreciate our relationship with the British monarchy, the evolution of our national journey and our story is that much fuller with the institution of a system of Bahamian honors. I note that many countries which retain Her Majesty the Queen as head of state have instituted a system of national honors, including Jamaica and Australia. As I said previously, our system of national honors has been long in the making. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that I was very impressed when I received an email from a young Bahamian university student studying in Washington, D.C. by the name of Mr. Toby McCarroll. I think he tried to address everyone on that select committee with regards to his recommendations and his thoughts. I found it really good because here we have a young Bahamian who's prepared to be fully engaged even though he is studying abroad. He intends to help to the development and the growth of his country through his recommendations. And I dare say that much of what he said and much of what he actually recommended has been taken into consideration. And I wrote him this morning to let him know that I feel that the committee has in fact reached a very balanced position with the recommendations that he made and of course the recommendations of the wider Bahamian public. And that for me, Mr. Speaker, augurs well when we talk about expanding our democracy. When we have young scholars that are abroad, that are still interested in what is happening within the parameters of their island nation. And I applaud him for even taking the time, for articulating so well, and additionally doing so much research on similar islands and countries that would have been once under the monarchy. So I commend Mr. Toby McCarroll for the work that he's done. I actually think he is a resident of the St. Anne's constituency. Commendations to that young man. But Mr. Speaker, many years ago, before I was a member of this House, and before the member for Fox Hill sat in this chamber, could you actually believe we shared a common passion? And we worked together. We actually worked together to develop a system of national honors which would recognize our national heroes and others. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. I must say, this day has arrived. And I thank the member for Fox Hill for his years of work in this area, because really it was him who said to me, over 25 years ago, we used to frequent a particular place, and a very public place, Mr. Speaker, Montague Beach. We used to frequent Montague Beach. And Mr. Speaker, let me clarify for this House in broad daylight. and that is how we came to work together. So I say commendations to him. There was a time when we actually saw eye to eye, and we thought similarly. But great minds do, sometimes often differ. So though he was out of political favor at that time, the member for Fox Hill sought to have my grandfather, Sir Milo Butler, posthumously awarded the high honor and Order of National Hero. Mr. Speaker, it was not easy. We are, first and foremost, Bahamians. My grandfather, Sir Milo, I feel, belongs to all of us, as do those who championed majority rule, as do the suffragettes of yesteryear and today, as do our fellow citizens, black, white, no matter what color they are politically, who have contributed in various areas, from religion and civil society, to academics, athletics, and arts, to commerce and industry, and to other areas of national life. Correspondingly, I note this important conclusion in the report, to which I sincerely hope all political parties adhere. And this is what the report says. I quote, "Your committee is proposing several amendments to the bill for the consideration of the House. The amendments will, in your committee's view, make the process of awarding honors less politically contentious and more politically neutral, and thereby strengthen the integrity of the awards." And I think the entire makeup of those persons across the archipelago, across different areas of community that will be a part of that, I think we will achieve that. So I sincerely hope that we do continue to adhere to this ideal. Mr. Speaker, the development of a system of national honors must be a part of a broader endeavor to recognize, to celebrate, and to appropriately acknowledge our own, something that is too often lacking. This is not to say that we have failed thoroughly to acknowledge our fellow citizens. The naming of buildings, of schools, roadways, other public infrastructure, Royal Bahamas Defense Force vessels in honor of certain individuals, all of those things must be recognized. But too often, those who have labored to perfect our common good are relegated to relative obscurity or insufficient recognition after they are memorialized at their funerals. And we good at going to funerals and talking about how good people are. We are considerably, in my opinion, better at obituaries and making funeral addresses than we are at making permanent memorials. We must remember luminaries like Bill Cartwright, like A. Leon McKinney, like Maureen Duvalier, not only in somber words at their passing, but also through celebratory remembrance that keeps their memories and their contributions alive for the generations yet unborn. And even before such souls leave us, our system of national honors must recognize their contributions. Their memories and ours will be that much happier. In other words, this honor system will allow us to not just bring flowers when they are dead. We will celebrate them while they're still with us. And so, even before they leave us, let us remember them so that we make them happier. We need not, like in days past, look far afield for heroes and heroines. Among us today are Bahamian heroes such as Effie Walks, who was the sole female in the room when Black Tuesday was being planned. I wonder how many students today actually know of Effie Walks. It was her voice, her determination, and her courage which helped to steel the resolve of many others in the room. Yet how many young Bahamians know of her story, of her contribution to our story, to our history? With reference to Christian scripture, it is past time to recognize and honor the prophets and heroes in our midst with an indigenous system of honors, rather than a system with origins in another land and in another time. We owe this to future and past generations. Mr. Speaker, the naming and renaming of infrastructure is important, but we also remember those individuals in biographical materials such as books, photographic and audiovisual materials, and through social media and signage. We must remind ourselves and our younger generations of the contributions of names we often hear, but whose life stories we may not fully appreciate. Individuals like R.M. Bailey, individuals like H.M. Taylor, individuals like N.G.M. Major, Dame Bertha Isaacs, C.C. Sweeting, Mary Ingram, S.C. McPherson, Dr. C.R. Walker, and so many others. Mr. Speaker, when we travel the world, we marvel at statues, at sculptures, artwork, busts, and other artistic renditions of those whom other countries recognize for their contributions. One does not need to walk far in London, in Washington, D.C., in Tokyo, Ottawa, Kingston, Jamaica, Cape Town, Johannesburg, Havana, Mexico City, and other cities of the world to observe those whom those countries recognize as citizens of note and of high honor. You're totally enveloped in their history and the people whom they revere. Such installations are not inexpensive, I agree, but through a combination of public and private funding, as well as a possible dedicated heritage fee, it is past time to commence the design and the installation of such monuments. Such monuments and installations erected throughout our archipelago will help Bahamians to better remember, to better celebrate, and to cherish our history. I note in this regard the Sculpture Garden at Green Turtle Key and the Heroes Park at Marsh Harbor, both heritage sites in Abaco. We can learn from that. The development of such sites will also greatly assist in the development of this whole thing that we talk about, heritage tourism. During the last election, former Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Hubert Ingraham, campaigned widely and vigorously on the promise of instituting a significant heritage tourism initiative. This initiative included the development of heritage sites, including the installation of necessary signage. I marvel now when I pass Zion Baptist Church on Shirley Street, the historic Zion Baptist Church on Shirley Street. And I commend the board of directors and maybe the pastor for the signage they've recently put on that historic Zion. These are the sort of things that many of us, we pass every day and never truly stop to appreciate what it is we're passing and the history it has for us here in the Bahamas. So, while I note some efforts by this government in the development of such sites, including the monument at Western Esplanade, celebrating the bravery of Bahamians. How many people actually know about that? We pass it every day, up and down, and very few people pay attention to it. But at the Western Esplanade celebrates the bravery of Bahamians. There is considerably so much more to be done. By example, I reference the famous blue plaque. It's an oval plaque that adorns numerous buildings throughout the United Kingdom. Those of us who travel to the United Kingdom, you're familiar with it. I quote this reference. A blue plaque is a permanent sign installed in a public place in the United Kingdom and elsewhere to commemorate a link between that location and a famous person or event serving as an historical marker. Mr. Speaker, while we're doing national honors, may I be so bold as to suggest to this House the aqua plaque, which may be similarly used as a heritage marker. Such a plaque has, I am told, already been designed by talented Bahamian designers. I understand Mrs. Carla Whittingham had done something. I also understand, after I posted what we were talking about today, from Mrs. Dion Benjamin Smith and her husband, Jolien Smith, that they were a part of it. She's married to Jolien Smith, yes. They're an artistic team known as Smith and Benjamin Art Design. They have done some work in this regard as well. I am informed that there is a prototype of the very attractive design cast in an appropriate material. This is what we need to be doing when we're talking about national honors and history and teaching our people. The aqua plaque may be accompanied by other signage, which may tell a little history of a place or a person or an event. Mr. Speaker, the member for Centerville often recounts the African proverb, and he says, until the story of the hunt is told by the lion, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. In other words, we must tell our story. We must tell our story. We have long had it in our power to tell our own story and to honor our own in a manner that we see fitting. It is almost past time to put our resources and our resolve and our energy and our souls where our mouths are. First, a Heroes Park is long overdue. Further, funds to help write the biographies of, and I know I heard this somewhere before, but I don't think it's happened. I think there was even a team of writers brought together. The funds need to be brought to help to write biographies of and produce real documentaries on citizens of note. And that is not too expensive for us to have our story told. Let us stop talking and let us start producing. The honoring of our fellow citizens through national honors and heritage initiatives is not solely about celebrating our history. These efforts are as significantly a means to foster national identity, which we seem to be very nebulous on sometimes, and we tend to pick up everybody else's identity. And I think it's important that we start to reinforce who we are as Bahamians. So, I think that we have got to ensure that we foster our national identity, that we pass on to our younger generation a blessed and noble heritage. That is where we need to make sure that our young people are not lost. Such efforts, in my opinion, celebrates true Bahamian pride, and it instills respect in our society. As a people, we sometimes show insufficient respect for history, for each other, insufficient respect for the common good. One of the contributors to violence and crime is that lack of respect. It hurts me, Mr. Speaker, sometimes when our national anthem is being played, and I see men standing up, beer bottles in their hands, caps on their heads, and moving about as if it is not a sacred thing that we're supposed to stand at attention for. Respect, Mr. Speaker, for our national symbols is where we have to start again. We must make sure that there are repercussions for people who do not honor our heritage, our culture, and our national symbols. guess you could clap on this. This is a national speech. The two greatest resources of our Bahama land are, or I should say three, our human resource, our national heritage, and our cultural heritage. We've done tremendous work in protecting, and I spoke with Minister Dorset, the member for Tall Pines, Southern Shores, and we heard the Prime Minister speak earlier this morning talking about the protection of our natural heritage and climate change. But more must be done. We must guard against polluting industries. A debate I'm sure we'll take up very soon, seeing that it's been delayed twice. We must do more for our cultural heritage. What we have done for our natural heritage. And you know, I remember the late Ed Moxie calling me to his house one day and opening a huge book. And I think that there were just so many of them produced. But it was a whole cultural book on what should happen in Over the Hill to bring back that full identity of Bahamianism and to take a lot of what we are as Bahamians back to Over the Hill, where we could develop the Jumbe villages and the cultural village, and how this was really going to get so many people involved, young people, inner city residents, and it was really going to be not just something to make us stronger as Bahamians in our identity, but a place where our visitors can be imbued with our heritage, rather than us allowing others to come here and dilute who and what we are. It is important that we know who we are, so that when people come to this country and they become naturalized, that they are assimilated in what is Bahamian and what it is to truly be a Bahamian. We must do this, Mr. Speaker, for our culture and for honoring our past. Critical to the preservation of our cultural heritage is, in fact, the celebration of stories and journeys and sacrifices and contributions of those who remind us of whence we came, which is essential if we are in a spirit of love and unity to lift our heads up to the rising sun and to new dawns. Mr. Speaker, today I feel the spirit of my grandfather, Sir Milo, and a pantheon of heroes of happy memory who look upon us in this place with this refrain: well done. Fox Hill, yourself, and all of the other people that joined us over 25 years ago on that morning in January, I say well done. It has been long in coming. It's been a lot of debate as to how we should go about it. I think, Mr. Speaker, that we've reached a happy balance in where we will be. Obviously, there are some people that will continue to want the honors of the British system. I'm very glad that this committee has recommended that we move forward together until the integrity is totally built up on our national honors. So, Mr. Speaker, it is indeed my pleasure today to stand here, to hold hands with those on the side opposite, and to join hands with those on our side, and to thank you for allowing us to be a part of this committee. And on behalf of the good people of Long Island, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.